Hey everybody, welcome back to the War Boss Fitch channel. Today we're going to do a little bit of painting down in the basement, and I have the Giants army that is going to be coming up in the Age of Fantasy video next week. So finally I found myself with the models assembled and base coated and the foresight to go ahead and turn my camera on. So the main reason why I don't make these painting videos more is because I usually just jump into stuff and it's done before I remember to turn on the camera. So today we're going to be painting one of the Giants here from CastnPlay. I'm going to have the link for them down in the bottom. And because I am not a smart man, we're just going to go hop right in onto the biggest one. I haven't done any test paintings. I've bought some new paints that I don't know what they are going to do on the model. I just have an idea. So what I've done so far is hit it with a gray primer, just the rattle can Rust-Oleum primer from Walmart. And then I came in with the apple barrel paints and just did a quick white dry brush over everything. So this is going to be a slap chop like technique, and I really love doing it this way because with the white dry brush on there you can see everything on the model, every part, every detail. And at this point these models pretty much tell me how they want to be painted. So we're going to start off with warrior skin on these. I want to have a little bit darker skin tone on the Giants because, you know, they're outside all the time. Giants don't have houses to go back to, so I figured we'll give this a shot. This is one of the paints that I just got. We are going to be using 99%, maybe 100% of the Army Painter speed paints. So, it looks like I got to give this a shake. She's all separated. Like I said, brand new. All right, that should be enough. Let's see what we got here. Ooh. Might be a little bit darker than I thought it was going to be, but hey, send it. So the way I like to do stuff when I'm doing this slap chop method is we start from the inside of the model first. So here you can see the skin is going to be the deepest stuff in that model. So that is where we're going to start. And of course I use big old brushes. And I found the key with the speed paints is don't just slap it on like they do in the promo videos. Kind of just use it like a glaze. Just let it run over the top of the model and let the paint do its thing. there's our skin. It feels like we're most of the way done already. Next color. We're going to go ahead and go in and do all of the wooden detail. So this model's going to look real brown real fast. So we're going to go do the barrel. We're going to do the shaft on the weapons, the shield bits here and there. Yeah, sounds good. After that, we're going to go in with dark wood. Now, for a lot of these paints, I like to water them down a little bit just to reduce the saturation. So you see how much we have in there. We're just going to boop, 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 boop. And again, going back in with the same brush, give that a mix. Let's start off with that barrel. There we go. It looks like it's giving us a lighter wood, kind of like a pine. We're not going all the way for like oak weapons. Now I'm just going through searching for more wood. With these parts down here, since they are sharpened, you can tell the bark got taken off. I'm going to do these in a lighter color, like the heartwood of a tree. Same thing with the spear, the point of this spear here. Looks like a siege ladder, so it has rungs made out of metal. So we're going to try to avoid those right now, which even if you hit something you don't want to hit with the speed paints, it's not the end of the world. Especially because the way this builds layers, you're going to cover it back up, or it's going to be completely unnoticeable by the time we're done. I got to come up with a horn color for a lot of these, because I don't want to do them all the same color. That would just be uninteresting. And then we have these up here. Yeah, it's wood. Oh, and I found out I missed the back of his heel here, so that's something we can go back to in a second. Got some skin there too. Please, because I'm down in the basement next to the air conditioner, it's gonna fire off. There's not much I can do about that. So I think that is going to do all the wood. I'm sure I missed some. We'll come back for it later, but let's go back and get that skin. Otherwise, I will forget. Okay, next we're going to want to do the back side of the leather. What I mean by that is like up here where it goes up and then flops over. So the outside of the leather, I think I'm going to do a color or like a dyed leather. And then the inside, we are going to do regular old leather color. Like that there. Well, let's see, these guys get leather from all the different species that they run into. So, I mean, it could be orc leather, it could be goblin leather, human leather, animal leather. Let's run with that. Let's go ahead and use orc skin. This is probably going to be real bright, but our steps down the road will dull it down. All right, we're going to want to have this big one here is going to be made out of orc skin. We'll just do that in a few different spots. We'll do that in a few different spots because, you know, we'll say he's killed a lot of orcs. Okay, so that gives us a nice splash of color in there. So let's work through the rest of our leathers. We are, of course, going to use hardened leather, but just for more variation, we're going to go ahead and use sand golem as well. We're going to say there's some yellow or lighter skinned things that he's killed and tanned, and then maybe even a gray. We'll see what we come up with. The gray will be the one that we use the least amount of. So let's go ahead and go to sand golem. Gives us some good little splashes of color in there. Let's go ahead and move on to the leather. think that's all the leather. But again, I found more skin I missed. Okay, I think we are going to use the Gravel Lord Gray, but we're going to use it on this stuff here, this hair, because this isn't his hair, I don't think. That's got to be the hair of some kind of a creature that he's just thrown on there. Well, maybe not Gravel Lord Gray. Let's see, where's my other gray? There we go, Runic Gray. We're going to do it kind of a blue, but we're also going to water this one down, so that's a real slight blue. It's enough to keep it gray, but just give it that tint of blue in the recesses. Well, it's not very gray at all, is it? I think we watered that a little too much. Add a little more. Give her a mix. That's better. Just gonna go right back over, starting at the top. There we go. I don't know how that's showing up on camera, but it is a little bit grayer. So we're on the right path there. So while we're here, we're also going to say this dwarf's beard, he was a gray beard. All right, now we're going to use Grave Lord Gray, and we are going to use that here because I'm assuming this is a giant rock. At least I think it is. Rock, anvil, horns. All right, let's do it. And while we're here, we got all these rocks and bases to do as well. Gonna add a little bit of water to that. So now I think our next step is all of the ropes. And for that, we are going to use pallid bone. And we're going to use it undiluted for the ropes, and then we're going to go back, dilute it, and use that for the bones. Now here's the beauty of doing it in the order that we did, because see how those ropes are all tight in there on that leather? You just go right over it. Because the pallid bone, if it does anything, it just gives that leather a little bit more depth. Wow, those ropes just kept going. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to use the stuff we already have in the, well, 25 millimeter base I use for my palette. Add some water to it. Now what this is going to do is going to let us color our bones, but they're going to be mostly white and hopefully stand out a little bit against all the ropes that we just did. And while we're here too, this is where we're going to do this piece of heartwood on this tree. Oh, I probably should have done it before. We'll come back with more undiluted for that. Okay, what do we got left for colors to do? We got all the dead stuff. We got his hair. And the horns. So the horns, we're going to do a mix. We're going to keep the pallid bone that we have in there. And let's put together a horn color. Let's do pallid bone. 1, 2 drops of dark wood. Just because it's out. Half a drop of hardened leather. Wet the brush. Mix it up. Let's see what we come up with. We're just experimenting, so hop right in. Huh. That's alright. Yeah, how deer antlers aren't bone colored. I think that's what we've got here. I'm going to cheat. You can see there's a piece of wood back here that I missed. Back of that shield. The only cheating I condone in tabletop games is when you paint them. No one gets mad at you for that. Alright, we are getting there. Well, let's do his hair next, and then we'll focus on all the dead stuff. I'm going to go ahead and make his hair black. Now, this Grim Black is not regular Grim Black right out of the bottle. I've actually diluted this whole bottle because it comes out really, really black. There's not that much left in here. So even though you don't see me putting water in it, there is water in it. He's starting to look almost complete. So we're gonna do the horse black as well. It was a black horse. Well, no, we'll do a brown. Mix it with everything else. But black hair on the horse. And that's some kind of a demon spawn in there. Dwarf. Chaos helmet. Human helmet. Frog. Okay, let's see what we can do with those. I think just that, and then the metals, and we are done. So, all right, this is where we're going to cheat a little bit. We're going to use some gore grunt to fur contrast on that horse. Then we're going to use some malignant green on all the dead stuff. Now for the hair coming off of this helmet here, we're going to use some Fire Giant Orange, because this coupled with the wash that we're going to do kind of makes a pretty good redhead. And it's just an extra splash color. Now we're going to add a little bit of gore to the dead stuff. And for that, there's nothing better than just good old blood red. Now it's time to do some metals. He's got a couple of these little roundlets around, so I'm going to do those gold. We're going to say he's got a little bit of bling. After that, golden armor. And I have another palette that I use for metallics. Okay, now for most of the metal, it's not going to be shiny metal. The only shiny metal on this guy is going to be like a little bit of the anvil and maybe some of these helmets. So what we are going to use, so instead of polished silver, we're going to use broadsword silver, which is just a little bit darker. Alright, now we're going to hit the rest of the metal with the polished silver. Mostly those helmets and a spot or two on the anvil. Now we're going to go back, clean up all the things that were obvious misses, like the backside of this horn has been staring at me for a while. And since that was a mix before, what we're going to do now is we're just going to hit that with a dark wood. Now the next step is going to be to put the dirt on the base. And for that, I'm going to put down a paper towel. And since it's just ground, I like using this territorial beige, because once we hit this with the all-over wash, it's going to come out like a good dirt color. Alright, so there is our base color. Now that we're at this point, we're going to let this sit for a little while just to let the base dry up. So let's talk about these washes. There are two washes that I like to use, black and brown. Now, these are oil washes that are made using oil paint and mineral spirits. Before we put these on the model, we are going to take this outside and it's going to get an all-over coating of gloss sealer. Why gloss? Because gloss lets the oil paint run down into the recesses and run around and do oil paint stuff better. But now these two washes, pretty much, if you want to think of a GW equivalent, it's Nuln Oil and Agrax Earthshade. Almost. What it's going to do is it's going to deepen the shadows, and it's also going to leave like a ghosting of either black or brown on the model. That way you get a nice gradient of your shadows. And for this one, normally if it's like a metal model or something that's supposed to be off a showroom floor, I use black. But because this is a giant who's been walking around the countryside, dragging stuff around with him, we're going to use brown. It's going to deepen the brown everywhere across the model, and it's also going to distress a lot of the leather and put some rust type surfaces on all the metal that we did. And also mix with the base color to give it a good dirt color. I'm going to try to avoid hitting the rocks with it and do the rocks in a black, but I doubt that's going to happen just because this stuff runs. This stuff runs really hard. Like if I have it on the brush and I push it here, it's just boom, all the way down to the bottom nearly immediately. So I'll be back after this is gloss coated. So we're back, and he's all shiny now. Ta-da! And it is time for us to do our dirty work. So the thing too is that when the wash settles, it'll actually separate. So before you do this, you want to give it a good stir. Got a little impatient, that's why you can see some gray poking through the bottom. It made the base kind of hydrophobic when I hit it with that. You can see it's kind of put rusting effects into the metal, and then you can see it mostly here. Remember that green patch on his butt? Yeah, it kind of weathered all that down. So now is the hardest part. Don't touch it. We just go ahead and let it dry out overnight, and then with these brushes, what I like to do with them is I don't even put any water on them. I don't try to clean them out. They're just old makeup brushes. Just kind of wipe them down, get as much as you can out of it, and just stick it back in the box. And you're good to go. So we will see this guy tomorrow. All right, we've let it sit overnight. Kind of peel it up here. And this is what we end up with. The skin came out awful dark, which, I don't know, kind of has that leather handbag look. That look you get when people that sit on the beach for their entire lives. Yeah, kind of grew on me. Now the next few steps are going to be to put a matte clear coat over it, rim the base, and then put on our grasses. So, I mean, at this point, it's just black. Nothing special. And since he's already all sealed up, we'll fast forward. You guys know what rimming a base looks like. All right, now back out to the garage to give him that matte coat. And we'll be back in a minute. All right, we are back. I just took him out and got the matte coat on him. Still a little bit shiny, which, you know, I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. Now I had to go work on the pool pump too. All right, next we're gonna do some grass. So for that, we just use some white glue, and we get some dirty paint water here. It's clean enough. You're gonna see me use a separate brush for the first time. Do that mix. What are we gonna use for grass? Well, we just got a big old bucket of flock here, because there is no school like the old school. And then we're just gonna do this in patches around the bottom. We got it everywhere. So then we're going to take one of our long bristled, what we usually use for dry brushes, and we're going to go back in and get it off the parts of the model we don't want it at. Use your thumb, take it off the rim, and then we're going to go back in with another coat of black just to cover up where the grass is stuck and where we've kind of rubbed it off a little bit. So there we go. Total working time on our giant friend here was about 2 hours. He's going to fit in nicely with the rest of his group here. You're going to be able to catch him this weekend when I do a how to play giants for Age of Fantasy. Now I just have 5 more to do up. So that's going to be the end of the painting video. I hope you guys enjoyed watching that. You guys got to see everything my mind goes through as I paint a model or start on an army. It's just kind of a stream of consciousness. And what I want to do showing you guys my painting technique is to let you know that painting models should not be intimidating at all. Especially with the undercoat and glaze method, the modified slap chop. You should be able to kick models out of your painting station left and right. So I got some more painting to do. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.